out a little bit. The idea was, I've no there videoed some of the speeches. Videoed some of the speeches from last year and she put them on the internet. And I was watching them the other day.
On YouTube.
And I always thought Malcolm's was the longest, but no, it wasn't. You watch Colin's one. Colin's was the longest. We just made it up. So we thought this year we'd swap things about a bit. We'd give Colin the serious one now. So Colin's going to do the Immortal today. He's on a deadline of 10 minutes here. The caterers are already sweating and panicking. So the pressure's on Colin. So I'll hand you over to Colin for the Immortal.
Stand up, Colin.
See, that makes it 11 minutes.
Is that it? Have you finished?
I'll stay here till you're bloody quiet, John. Then we'll set the clock going again. Okay, it is a pleasure to be asked to speak here this evening. And of course I have spoken here before. And as my good brother says, he's moved it around because apparently I upset a few people last year. I slip into a few kind of colloquialisms. Language that in Clayton is quite acceptable, but apparently elsewhere, you know, people with a sensitive nature get kind of upset. So, apologies for that. It's really helpful to see, and also now to sign the video consent form that I clearly didn't sign. Because imagine what my employers in MI5 said when they saw me bare my hairy ass on, I think it was YouTube or some other site, you know, but anyway. Last year I stood up and I couldn't believe when I looked back at the video that my opening line was to take the piss out of Malcolm, and I feel terrible about that. I feel terrible that my opening line was to take the piss out of a man who wears glasses, and it was to ask him to use size font 16 to help him in reading his speech. Of course, Malcolm this year has used size font size 18. But as I said to him in the break, no font size will rescue you from picking up the wrong fucking sheet. Can
I congratulate you on being the first one to use the swear word? I actually haven't used the swear word tonight.
There are only about 2 more scripted in the next, I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been asked to do the Immortal Memory. It is a stunning and it's a huge challenge, really. And it's important to say at this point that I stand before you ignorant. Ignorant of the extent of Robert Burns' work, his artistry, his craftsmanship. I thought I knew something about it, but until you're asked to do the Immortal Memory and you start researching, you realise how much you don't know. Malcolm, apologies for the past decade and a half, where when you delivered the Immortal Memory,
Impeccably.
Impeccably, and I've heckled throughout, I feel really bad at the thought that I've thrown you off your stride on such a serious matter, and I'm also shitting myself that you're now going to do this. Just to get the road back. Anyway, I mean, I have watched Malcolm do this over many years, and Malcolm, of course, is a teacher. He's a scholarly chap. He's someone who would take the Immortal Memory and research it thoroughly. He would want to pay respect to Robert Burns, and even though he's a Sassenach, we'll forgive him that. He'd want to do a good job, and indeed did do a good job. Whereas me, later on in the evening, when I knew you were all drunk, I just stood up and just had a bit of a go at the Yorkshire, the English, and all that kind of stuff. So in preparation for this, I did some research, and I decided to contact Malcolm to say, Malcolm, you've done this so meticulously over the years. Sometimes you've used music, you've used dramatic effect, and always consistent, rigorous research. I said, Malcolm, I've been asked to do this. I need your support, I need your guidance, I need your words of wisdom. Malcolm then looks at me, and I've always looked at Malcolm, you see, as a bit of a kind of a surrogate brother. Indeed, in some parts of Scotland, he's young enough to be my dad. In some parts of Bradford, he's young enough to be my grandfather. But I asked him for his advice, I asked him for some support so that I could stand and deliver this in the way that he's done. And he just looked me in the eye, and put his hand on my shoulder, looked me in the eye, and he says, fuck you, wee bro. You're on your own, son. So the Immortal Memory is a serious part of the evening, and it's where the chairperson is asked to give a serious and carefully considered view of Robert Burns' life and work. It might be general, it might be biographical, it might address a specific aspect of Robert Burns' life, but of course, whoever's delivering the speech, well, it's up to them. It's up to me. It should be long-winded enough to remind the guests that this isn't the office party or the Christmas party. But it shouldn't be so long as to induce cramping, dry mouth, ringing in the ears, something about 40-50 minutes. But the speech always ends on the standing guest and toasting Robert Burns, so we'll make sure that we get to that. And another idea about what the Immortal Memory is, it says that it's important to deliver a spellbinding speech on the life of Robert Burns, his literary genius, his politics, his highs and lows, his human frailty, and most importantly, his nationalism. Very topical, I hear you say.
Very topical.
Very topical, I don't hear. But the speech must bridge the dangerous chasm between serious intent and sparkling wit. Stuff that. Ladies and gentlemen, Robert Burns was born on 25th of January 1759 and died on 21st of July 1796. He was aged just 37. I'm 44, I'm 7 years his senior. And that's about all I've got over the guy, to be honest. No other famous writer or artist or musician has a yearly dinner committed to his memory over 250 years after his birth. Burns Night Suppers are said to be held in over 200 countries throughout the world. That's amazing, isn't it? And here we are in Yorkshire celebrating. Just to say, you know, when I was researching it, I went on to various websites and I was having a look. There's lots of literature. I even bought a book. I've now got 2. But I also looked on YouTube and I was having a look at video clips of the Immortal Memory speeches. And it is stunning. It is absolutely stunning the amount of Americans who are on YouTube doing Immortal Memory speeches. Now, and I do mean stunning. If you go on and just have a look, you know, they're all there and they're in their full gear and they're talking about, you know, their life in Scotland and so on. And I was both stunned and slightly unnerved because although I'm not one to incite, you know, any kind of racist hatred or violence or warfare, if there was going to be a terrorist attack on the USA, I'd say do it about Burns Night. Because by the looks of things on YouTube, they are all getting time top on whiskey and haggis and they're out on it for the full weekend. So, anyway, Robert Bruce was the first-born son of William and Agnes Burns. His father, William, he was a farmer, and a very poor farmer at that. Robert learned to work hard on the land, you know, so he too became a farmer, just like his brother. And his father, however, was intent that his son would have a good education. So him and a few others clubbed together to enlist the services of a guy called John Murdoch. And by the age of 12, Robert Burns was studying Latin, French and geography. That's about 2 more subjects than Andrew or Richard ever studied. He did love to read and he devoured anything that he could lay his hands on. And in the review of his work in later years, the eminent Edinburgh-based critic Henry Mackenzie referred to Burns as the heaven-taught ploughman, implying that in the absence of a formal education, the young poet displayed knowledge and skills beyond his class, because the class system, of course, as in England, was still alive and well then. However, it's since been recognised that Burns approached his education with rigour and made full use of any teaching that was available to him. said that on his deathbed in 1784 that his father William Burns expressed the view that his eldest son